Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.
All right, here we go. Welcome to your Wednesday KVJ After the Show podcast.
So you asked me to text Jaybird because you're like, I got to get started. We got to get this thing going.
I'm on schedule.
And Jaybird texted me back just now. He's like, I'm just pulling in the parking lot. So I guess he left for a second to get something. So I am sure he is pulling in frazzled and upset. Here's what we should do.
Yeah.
When he comes running in here, like...
Fire the music and do the close?
Yes.
Okay.
We should either do that or take our headphones off and say, it just ended. You missed it.
See what he says, and we'll leave the mics on?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fun. That's a fun little thing.
Fun.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, Bird, you missed it.
Yeah, gosh, we're waiting.
You should say to him, I told you we had to start right at 10:01 because I've got an important sales meeting that begins at 10:30. I got no room, bro. I told you. I looked you in the eye and you said, okay.
You did?
It's the coffee, Kev. It's a Cuban coffee. Like, he'll immediately try to deflect and lose his shit.
Hey, when am I going? He just disappeared. Did he take Denny's with him? Because Denny's is gone too.
Probably. I mean,
yeah.
Somebody's got to drive him. He's too cranked to drive.
Driving
probably.
Miss Lazy?
Driving Miss Lazy. Driving Miss Crazy.
Yeah.
Because he's all cranked on this Cuban coffee. He really is too jittery to be driving himself.
Hey, probably shouldn't be out there, huh? Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. We got lots of emails about all the genetics testing stuff. Those things.
Yes, it's fascinating to think about.
Mm-hmm. Brian texted in and said, you always get 50% of your DNA from each parent, but the percentage can be different from each grandparent. So you don't necessarily have 25% from each, which is probably how siblings differ on a DNA test because they have a different pull from the grandparents.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really confusing because I figured it was just simple,
I feel like
division.
My grandma on my dad's side must have just like whooshed in and took over.
Yeah, I still am trying to figure it out. Somebody even sent me an article, on how it works, and they said, DNA is kind of like a bunch of colored beads. It isn't passed down from generation to generation in a single block. Not every child gets the same 50% of mom's DNA and 50% of dad's DNA.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess there's a lot of things to figure out with it. One thing to think about is imagine DNA as a bunch of colored beads since we are interested in ancestry here. And just check it out. They've got all kinds of great locations throughout Palm Beach County. $3.99 is all you got to pay. Go check it out. Bud's Chicken and Seafood. We'll see y'all later. Goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, whatever. You had to get beer?
You went for a beer ride?
I told you guys this. You guys seem so excited. Wait, can I say F word?
Yeah, you're on the podcast.
You guys seem so fucking excited. I'm like, yeah, okay.
I thought Virginia said no because she had to poop.
Kevin, you're not supposed to say that on the radio.
You would have done that to us if we would have admitted we had a poop.
Totally.
I'm a lady.
I'm a lady.
You are not a lady.
How many other ladies share? I can't have any beer. I gotta poop. Yeah, that's a lady for you.
Can't have no secret around here.
You cannot have a secret around here.
Not a poop secret, at least.
That Cuban coffee, it kicks in, guys.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Not for me. I feel like I could dig holes and fucking move trees. I feel good.
I got some landscaping I need done. Actually, I could use you.
You just describe what you ought to do with your day.
Kev, you want a beer?
I think I'm good, actually. Yeah.
So I made a beer run for one?
Yeah, no one ever signed off
No
on it.
one else said they wanted beer but you.
I don't know where you got this fake enthusiasm from.
The coffee.
Or perceived enthusiasm.
I have known this coffee has given me a false happiness today. It's weird. It's like, yeah, everything's awesome.
But is it a false happiness if you're happy?
Man, Mama's speaking a lot of truth.
That's
right
true
now.
Happiness.
You can't hear what anybody's saying to you when they're saying no.
Well,
you don't hear no.
I also got some snacks, which is kind of took me. That's why it took me a while.
Why'd you get a cigarette lighter?
I got for my candles.
Yeah.
Go sell that bullshit to somebody else.
Danny, your lighter for candles is in here. And then look at this motherfucker, huh? Double chocolate Oreo chocolate candy bar, new. I mean,
That goes great with the munchies.
And beer.
oh, I'm going to forget that I have this, and then around 9 o'clock tonight, I am going to make love to it.
That is so many calories just between the squirt and the candy.
Well, I'm on a road to get fat again. So,
He's all ready to go.
I love it.
Okay, well, there you go. You got 12 beers to drink, my friend. You got...
got to drink alone again?
Oh, I'll have one with you. Now I feel bad for you.
Mama.
Thank you.
All right.
You need me to pop that baby?
Dude, pop it. Okay, let's pop it.
What'd
Something
you,
else popped.
What'd you spill?
No, something just exploded. My squirt just squirted.
Something exploded, but he's not sure what.
Imagine that. The drink called Squirt just squirted everywhere.
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit about ancestry here and trying to figure it out. This email says, I did the DNA test. I've been told that half Italian and half Polish Austrian is my lineage. Came back pretty close to accurate, with 46% being European Jewish, 43% South, and a few small percent, which made sense. Except I had 1% Native American. Wondering how that could have happened, since all my grandparents are documented to have come in a boat to New York City. Anyone know how to research this? Wondering if it's related to Christopher Columbus days.
1% doesn't seem like enough to do anything, but somebody had to have slept with an American Indian along the way, right?
I guess, yeah. It's really weird that what rocked my world with the DNA stuff was just how two siblings could be so drastic. Like, okay, I'm 22% Irish and my sister's 4.
I can't wait to buy this for my sister for Christmas because I want to see what she comes back as. We got the same white daddy and the same brown mommy. So
And
how
I'll be
does it
honest,
come back?
But how would that make you less Irish? Like, if you're an Irish family, be like going, well, you're the
you.
less Irish of all. Be like going, how?
It's crazy, but you pick a little bit from this one and a little bit from that one.
It's weird, man. I really think my pizza analogy earlier, even though you guys didn't get it.
What was that again?
It was saying, let's say you have all of the same ingredients in your kitchen and you're making homemade pizzas.
Yeah.
They're coming from the same ingredients, but each pizza is going to be a little bit different. You're not, unless you use a measuring cup, you're not going to have the exact, like the same exact ounces for
If you're just
marinara
grabbing
sauce.
stuff from a pile, someone's going to have a little bit more cheese, someone will have a little bit more pepperoni.
Yes.
Okay, you're making more sense now that I'm drinking beer.
Well, and that coffee kicked in. I think I was just drinking the coffee, and you were on a weird ride. I was on a weird ride.
Now we're together.
We're together
There's a
now.
coffee and a slight beer buzz.
It's coming from the same kitchen and ingredients,
Yeah.
but it's going to be slightly off a little bit.
Yeah, weird. So I guess, but that's your genetic makeup. But does that make what you are? I mean, if if you're all born into an Irish family, and like how is one, you'd be the same Irish, right? I can't be. How am I less Irish than you?
It's weird.
It is weird.
So I am a half Italian because my mom there was nothing else in her other than Italian.
I thought I was a quarter Mexican because my mom is half Mexican.
We don't
but
know-
according to those numbers, I'm not even 15% Mexican.
Well, I mean, yeah, the explanation on that was just, Mexican itself, is Native American that is mixed a lot of times with Europeans, as they started to crossbreed. But it was pretty much Italians for the most part. So you would have Italian, you would think at some point. I would think that any Latin American would have Italian in them because that would be the Latin part. It makes you that. You speak Spanish.
It's weird.
Oh, you are making...
Christopher Columbus that came over, and then you also had the Spaniards. So you'd have a mix of Italian, Spanish, everything else, because yours was showing up specifically to be English, and like it would say Ireland, Wales, Scotland.
That's weird. And British.
Yeah, that was
A lot of
straight
British.
English, yeah.
Is it weird that all of this makes me want Italian food tonight? By the way, Kevin says Italian. Say Italian.
I think you came in
Italian.
with those cravings.
Well, hold on. You talked over Kevin saying Italian. Say it again, Kev.
Sorry.
Italian.
Yeah. Okay.
That was special.
I'm so sorry that I stopped the podcast down for that.
Meg said, yes, in the Seminole tribe, you do have to be 25%, but other tribes or Indian nations had different variable degrees to rate in the benefits, and not all tribes or nations have a casino. I'm just hearing y'all's segment about this. one of those days we were running a little bit late with my son, making it to school. Meg's the one, I think, that sent us the photo of her going to Buzz Chicken and Seafood. Remember that?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, she's seminal.
She's obviously smart.
Yeah, but I was like, just trying to figure this whole thing out. It is kind of crazy, but it is interesting. I'd
It
hate to do.
is.
My mom's doing a ton of work on it, putting in a ton of time. She really is into that kind of stuff and loves it. And she's having to email people and do this and that and kind of fill in the gaps. But it is fascinating.
So let's do this. Let's get it for you for Christmas and then cross-reference it with what your mom's coming up with, what she knows to be true, and
Right.
see if it mirrors or if it doesn't.
Yeah, in fact, I think we could probably pretty much trace it back. I think Mom is all the way back to, there's a couple things that are, she's curious about that she doesn't know. She thinks that we're related to this person and that, but I think she's traced it all the way back to when my ancestors came to America. And I think the story behind it is a woman that was in England whose husband died. She had a child, and so she became an indentured servant to somebody there. Like, they paid for everything, but she had to do, in a sense, whatever they wanted, kind of like thing. And so I think it was a system they had then where she really didn't own herself. She was basically a contracted worker.
Wow.
Had to do whatever this guy said. And luckily he was a cool dude, I guess, apparently. And she wound up marrying that guy. And then
Really?
she came to America.
So he bought his wife, and that was what, your great-great-great?
Whatever
Right?
it was. I don't even know. Yeah, run all the way back.
Wow.
But that's where it all began. So she's
See,
traced
that's
it
a
to that.
fascinating story.
Right.
He kind of bought her.
I didn't know he did. Yeah, I think the way it was. Is just,
He probably had a plan.
Yeah, I guess he probably like going. She's kind of hot.
She's hot, and she needs me.
And she took in her kid.
Here's how I get some action.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the title was, but I think that was in essence it. He had bought her.
Wow.
It wasn't like he just paid her to be the maid. She was like,
I wonder if she grew to
different-
love
a
him, or
different
she's
version
like,
of
oh,
slave.
he's so gross. I hate him on top of me, but
I don't know.
I don't got no money.
well, I think back then too, probably didn't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
It's a different society. Back then, different things.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So that's kind of so you can learn a little bit about it as well. But yeah, so still trying to figure it out. Got an email from Jason talking about how I can answer your questions in just 10 seconds. He said, Dear McMurder, is there any way you could recap Texarado Longhand's love life in 10 seconds? Thank you for getting me through the mornings. Okay.
I mean,
Texarado Longhand's not
They
even paying
didn't-
attention. He's over his, okay.
he's over there making love to a Oreo candy.
Molesting Oreo bars. There you go. That would be his love life. He had this look of blank, like, wait, where am I?
I'm just reading the literature off the Oreo cookie. No, do your 10-second thing. I'm sorry. I should have been listening. I'm a dick.
Jaybird's love life?
Yeah. Let's see what you got.
Okay. I don't know anything. I really don't.
He's
got
a
a
man
stalker.
of secrets and mystery.
Jerks off a lot. There you go.
Well, I think that's probably going to be true whether I'm with somebody or not, right?
Yeah. I have no idea. Let's see, got a follow-up. Remember that we had a question about the $500 private show? Somebody was, what are they, like online or streaming or something like that?
Yes.
Hey, KVJ Show. First of all, thank you for answering my email. Your skepticism reinforced mine. The person who requested the $500 sent me a picture of a PayPal account with huge numbers and assumed that I meant that I would give them a sneak preview. Being coy and with my curiosity, I mentioned that I would not provide content unless the person offering paid first. Also tried to get the money to just privately play video games. No bites. They refused. The weird and scary vibes were strong, and I really appreciate the thoughts of the KVJ Show to keep your girls safe. Been listening since 2011. Happy to be a part of the KVJ Nation. Your northern listener, Shelby.
Yeah, don't trust anybody, Shelby. Not people on the internet. 90% of them are probably shady. If they're asking you to do stuff like that, you get the money up front and then you do it.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your bag.
If that's your bag.
But just know they could possibly record you.
Well, anytime you're doing anything video, sexual, and you're sending it out to anybody, just know there's a very good chance it could be on a website somewhere eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Just know that. That's the game
Yep.
you're playing.
That's
He's
it.
right.
Expect it will be.
He's probably on 5 or 6 websites himself.
Well, I always wonder because I tell you that one story when I was on Stumble Upon, and it did. I mean, I swore to you I wasn't jerking off or anything, but I was on my bed, naked, with my computer on my stomach. I'm gonna hit and stumble upon, and boom, my camera is on, and I see my tits on the screen. And I'm like, what is...
Wait a minute. I know those weird-looking tits.
I know that odd-looking shape. My titties. And it freaked me out so bad. I'm thinking, oh, that's got to be somewhere. But they probably are looking for people to throw on, not a Pornhub or a YouPorn, but those weird off sites where you shouldn't be on because you're going to get a virus, even with a Mac.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help the people.
Be careful out there. It is not an honest place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shady place.
Oh, it's scammers love the internet.
They do.
Tom from Coral Springs says, has listened to the Tuesday ATSP, and I heard you discussing the enforcement of child custody rulings. I am a retired police officer, and the order cannot be enforced by the police because it's a civil matter. Police are not able to enforce a civil action, only criminal matters. The parent must document it and have their lawyer take it back to the judge. Unfortunately, it's not an easy matter for anyone to deal with.
But then, like my sister said, because she had to go through it, the judge can say, now there is an order to enforce prior order.
And it becomes criminal
And
because
then it becomes
they are,
criminal.
yeah.
And the cops can step in then.
Yeah.
But you have to have that money.
You have to elevate it from a civil to a criminal dispute.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which costs you money for the lawyer and going back to the judge, and whoever your
Pain in the ass.
whoever your ex is going to try to not be served, drag it out, hope that it'll drag out so long that you won't be able to pay all the attorney's fees. That's what they're hoping.
Yep. Okay. Let's see here. Got a comment on the robocalls that I've been getting on my phone, which have become really annoying. And I was reading the numbers just in the last 2 years, how they're like almost 50% of the calls are in by quarter two of 2019. They're going to be 46% of the calls you get.
Insane.
Yeah, I mean, they've just really almost like doubled, tripled, whatever. It's just really kind of like crazy. And what do you do if you're getting them? And since I got that pretty much right at the end of the show, I've gotten like 2 more since then. And I've been blocking like every number that comes in, and they just, call from another number. So it's kind of a pain in the ass.
I was just reading something how there was some survey done where people are starting to say, if you call unsolicited, even if it's a friend or a family member, people think that's rude. You have to send a text before you call somebody, and a lot of people believe that. Now, I do not believe that.
Well, it's become where calling young people is aggressive.
But that's
Old people know, like us, we still take a phone call. But young people look at it like calling is aggressive.
But take it easy. It's not though. So many people. That's how it was done.
I'm just telling you.
I know, but it's dumb.
It used to be when I grew up, calls were exciting. And then now calls are just annoying. Like they just get you distracted. They usually are something you don't want to hear. It's,
Just don't pick up then.
I don't.
Yeah.
But my problem is just I don't want them coming in because the phones vibrate. It's distracting.
But the thing
and it gungs up your phone with all these different messages. And see, for me, the problem I have to stay on top of my alerts, my emails, and everything else because heaven forbid if I miss a message, shit will go way out of line.
That's true.
I'll be in a world of shit if I miss a message. One single message can really fuck up my day. So I have to be on top of everything. So I have to always clear my messages to make sure I'm not missing something.
But they were saying, with whatever I was reading, was saying that people look at an unsolicited phone call, even from a friend, just to say how you're doing. They would consider that rude, and I totally disagree with that.
No, I don't do that. And if I see it, I'm like, and I can't talk, then it's like, okay, I'll get your voicemail, and I'll text you back, or if I got time, I'll call you. For me, I just don't have a lot of time to chit chat.
They were almost saying it's like a social faux pas now.
Yeah, well, that's kind of interesting how people are looking at it. Diana sent an email. I said, regarding Kevin only wanting to receive calls just from people you want to get calls from. Not sure if your iPhone has this, but my Galaxy has a Do Not Disturb feature where you can only receive calls and texts from your VIP list. You just have to have your Do Not Disturb feature on 24/7. I use this every day from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., so I do not get unwanted calls through the night. Again, this works for texts also. Have fun choosing your contacts. But yeah, I could do that, and as numbers come up, I'd be like, okay. I mean, it'd be a small list of people that really. That's why I look at it. It's a small list of maybe 15 people, 10 to 15 people that I actually need to talk to when they call me.
I am literally on the settings of the iPhone, and when you go to settings, go to Do Not Disturb, scroll down, and it says phone, allow calls from, and it gives you choices. Allow calls from everyone, allow calls from no one, allow calls from favorites, or allow calls from all contacts. I just checked all contacts because if I have you on my phone, obviously we have some sort of repertoire.
And you said that was under what? If you're in the you're under settings
Go
on
under
your iPhone?
settings, and then if you scroll down from settings, you'll see Do Not Disturb. It's got the little moon next to it. Click on that, then scroll down to Allow Calls From, and then scroll down and it says All Contacts. That's what I just checked.
Yeah, mine is already set to allow calls from favorites only. And I'm getting all these calls.
That's weird.
Yeah. So
this shit don't work.
Shit don't work.
That's sad. Or whatever they're doing, they're bypassing the
I don't know.
settings that you've set up on your phone, which should not.
That's why I've tried to do everything that I can. I guess I'm going to click when Do Not Disturb is enabled, calls and alerts that arrive while locked will be silenced, and a moon icon will appear in the status bar.
Denny's!
All right, I'm going to Do Not Disturb then.
It's just ridiculous that I'm checking all contacts, and if I get a call from anybody who's not in my contact list, this shit don't work.
Yeah, why is that? See, it says allow calls from, and I didn't change it. It was set to favorites, but yet it allows anything through.
Dennis, can you help these old fucks out?
Yeah, let me just say, I gotta look at it real quick here. I can set it up for you
and
guys.
I've got a favorites list.
And thank God we have a
you can
young,
see what's
a
on
young
it.
person in here.
I'll set this up for you guys.
Yeah,
I'll
just
make sure it's all
on
good.
the surface, it doesn't look like it works.
We're like old people in here freaking out.
I hate that. But that seems self-explanatory, right?
Right? Do Not Disturb. Allow calls only from all contacts.
So make sure you turn it
No,
on.
yours says all contacts. Mine says, yeah, and so you should get one from everyone. Mine was only already clicked to only favorites, and I'm getting calls from fucking everybody.
Did you turn on Do Not Disturb? Because I don't think it's on yet.
But Do Not Disturb is a different thing. That means, like, if my wife is calling me and she fucking freaks out, she's like going, I called you 3 times. Like, that could cause me problems.
Denny,
so I need to get calls from the Mexican Queen, but I don't need to get the 8,000 daily robocalls I'm getting.
So what you would have to do is leave on, in theory, what you would do is leave on Do Not Disturb, and you would put only the people that you want to get through. Everybody else will have to text you or leave you a message.
So then how do I do? So I click the Do Not Disturb, and then that will allow favorites through?
So
All
that
right.
has to live on. That's why I'm saying it's kind of a pain in the butt.
Do
to
this right now. Call me from Kevin's phone because I want to see if this shit works.
For sure.
Because I just put Do Not Disturb on.
You turned it on.
And it says only all contacts can call me. So if you call me, his phone call should come through. But then if I get any robocalls throughout the day, those should not.
For sure. So you would want to
Right?
leave it on Do Not Disturb mode.
Okay.
And you would only set the people, like you said, contacts. Whoever's in my contact list or whoever's in my personal favorites is the only ones allowed through.
Okay. So
Okay, Kevin, you're coming through. You're calling
okay.
me.
All right. So
And I
that
turned
worked.
on your Do Not Disturb, Kev.
Oh, okay.
So you should be.
So my Do Not Disturb is on right now, too.
So you try calling me now, Virginia. Turn it around, try
and
to
it
call
should
me.
allow her through because she should be in your favorites.
Yeah.
Unless she's not.
Yeah, she is.
All right, perfect. So she should be able to go through. Now, if you were to get a call from like another number that you guys do not have in your phone, Virginia doesn't have in her contacts, you don't have in your favorites, it should in thery block it.
Okay. All right.
All right, I'm calling you, Kev.
Okay. It's
And
coming
that
up.
should go through.
Yeah.
You're coming through?
Yeah.
All right, so for the rest of the day, if I get any of those robocalls, I'm coming to your house, Denny's.
Yes, you can.
Okay. We'll see if that solves it.
Another method too is they have apps on the App Store. If you didn't want to go the Do Not Disturb route, which actually you can just put whatever numbers and it blocks them, or you could do the kind of the reverse thing here, where it's kind of like a Do Not Disturb mode, where you put, oh, I only want my contacts getting through. There's
Yeah.
other softwares to mitigate that as well.
Yeah, they said that's one thing. The getting on the Do Not Call registry, which I guess you can just do a quick search for. They said that your carrier's robocall alert service is something you could sign up for as well. Like AT&T, for example, has
I
one.
got on the Do Not Call registry, and I kept getting calls. So something tells me that ain't working.
Well, the problem is there's a few of those registries.
Right.
Like, there's not just one.
They can't regulate everybody.
And they constantly change numbers.
There's no
What-
cowboys out there doing what they want. Yeah, right.
So every time you guys do it, and not to get too like conspiracy on you guys, but like anytime you do an update on your phone or anytime you guys get an app or anything, you have to fill out that long thing. It says, do you agree or not agree? A lot of that is saying, hey, we're going to share some of your information out to other people. So no
with
matter
everybody.
With everybody. So if they ask for a phone number, that's why I always put fake phone numbers and fake addresses. I never never ever use my real one on any of those, because if they're selling your information, I'd rather they're selling the wrong information.
Yeah, give them Jaybirds.
Yeah, we used to always sign up our friends as a prank for like Ashley Madison and stuff, so they would start getting like emails from them.
I've been trying to FaceTime you for the last 2 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Jaybird.
Hey.
Oh, I look drunk. 1 beer in, and I look hammered.
Oh my gosh.
I look like shit too.
So, but then as somebody's pointing out, I wouldn't get any emergency calls if emergency calls came
Emergency
in.
won't. But here's
Yeah.
the thing, and not to like ruin the mystique of the do not disturb, but if somebody calls you, which robocallers typically don't, if they call you 3 times within a minute or something, I think it lets it through on do not disturb, as if it was an emergency call.
Oh, okay.
But that's like the key to that, the behind the curtain.
Okay. All
I think
right.
you get 3 in a minute. If somebody keeps calling, they should be able to get through.
I'll just tell my family to not get hurt.
But they can still send
If they
text
get hurt,
you.
y'all figure it out.
Yeah, I mean they
Yeah.
can still send you a text though. I
Don't
mean
me-
it's gonna block your call.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, text is fine. Text me then.
Text me.
Okay, perfect. Let me see here. Got this email that says, I'm completely unsure where to begin this. I'm completely scatterbrained, so I apologize in advance. Today in the news, they talked about the Serena Williams and the sexism case. On GMA, they talked about the Dawson's Creek actor sending out a hashtag to rename miscarriage. What are we coming to? I'm going to go back to the whole Me Too movement. Please let me start off by saying I do not believe in abusing power to coerce anyone into doing anything for a personal gain. But I do know people who are/were involved in Broadway, which have stated that certain actions were just sort of the culture back then. You want a part of, or you want notoriety, you may not want to do things that you would normally do. This statement is quite controversial, and again, I do not blame any particular person, but we all need to take ownership of our own actions. Many of us have done things that will boost our own agenda forward for ourselves. Some have done and sacrificed more than others, but in the end, it comes down to what we feel is necessary in our own lives to achieve our goals. The particular people I know were involved in Broadway acting years ago. At that time, anyone involved knew that they were getting into what was expected to in advance. And I'm not condoning this type of behavior, but we need to realize that standards change over time, so we need to adapt and not hold accountable those from the past, i.e. digging up records from 10, 20 years ago. The baseball player that said some shit back when he was 17. My grandpa refers to African Americans as colored people. He's not racist. It just shows the culture of his time. Serena Williams was claiming sexism as she was penalized points due to her behavior. I agree athletes such as McEnroe did not see penalties like this in the past.
It's not true, actually.
But with today's standards, we still need to be held accountable for our own actions. The news will play it's because she was female, or I also heard one person say it was because she was African American. There's a point when enough is enough. Maybe this ump decided her behavior was unacceptable and she/athletes need to start being held to higher standards and that certain behaviors need to be held accountable. Good Morning America with the whole miscarriage terminology and how it's too hurtful to the individual. My girl and I have experienced miscarriage, and we know and understand that it was nothing that she or didn't do that is her fault. Life happens sometimes, despite how much little we do, and certain circumstances are beyond our control. Is this era where we are too sensitive to describe the conditions that are happening? Please listen to the GMA program today. What's next? Heart failure being renamed to something else because as a culture we're too sensitive to it being called what it is? So here it is. Why are we getting so soft? Why are we placing blame on others? We as Americans need to grow the fuck up. Shit changes. People, culture, standards, etc. all change. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. I don't agree with white supremacy, but you know what? I have choice whether or not to associate myself with those type of people. As long as no physical harm is coming from a belief or a way of life, then why should others try and interfere? Gay marriage? Who gives a shit? What effect does it have on you? So there you go. Jaybird said it best. I'm offended that you're offended. It's time for America to grow and buck up. There's always something we don't agree with, but as Americans, our own personal beliefs are something we can choose and participate in. That's what makes this country great, assuming those beliefs do not cause physical harm to others.
So
Overall rant.
to go back on even the McEnroe thing, McEnroe had been penalized. McEnroe had been penalized before for terrible behavior, and someone broke it down the other day, showing clips of men constantly being penalized for bad behavior on the tennis court.
Yeah.
I think what had happened on the Wimbledon or on the U.S. Open thing, you had a judge or an umpire who he tried to put in every rule possible that he saw. If he saw someone break it, he's like, all right, you broke the rule, you're going to get penalized. I think you just had an overreacted umpire, but
Yeah.
sexism, absolutely not.
Not really. Well, I did a deeper dive into it yesterday on the sports show and found out, okay, was there a legitimate claim to sexism that Serena Williams had over this umpire? One, her own coach admitted that he was trying to coach her from the stands. You broke a rule. It's a stupid rule, but you still broke it.
Agreed.
So he dinged her on that. She broke a racket. That is a rule they enforced. Dinged her on that,
And
which was justified.
There's a reason why they ding you so hard with the racket, because in the past people have broken the racket, and parts of it have gone on into the crowd.
Yeah.
People have been hurt from
Well,
equipment.
and it sounds like that's a rule development. As in football, every year they're changing the rules and adding new things to try to protect players and fans and everything else. And so that's something that is changed from when they used to break rackets at will in the day.
And keep in mind too, they didn't see people like McEnroe before. He was this. Wait, what the fuck is this guy
Everybody's
doing?
pretty uptight, yeah.
They had to make new rules
Because of him.
within the moment because of McEnroe.
Yeah. And then the third count was she kept demanding an apology. She said, "You will never referee one of my games again," and was going on. And it was a continual kind of like thing. And then finally, when she said, "You're a thief, you stole a point from me," then he dinged her on the third one. I broke it down yesterday, and there was a guy that explained it that, yes, a lot of times it is standard on a third penalty like that to remove a game like that. That can happen. That's within bounds. A lot of people would still say that it's a shame that an umpire changed the outcome of that. But the thing that was really sad was the 20-year-old girl that beat Serena, and I think pretty much fair and square. When she was getting her trophy, people were booing. And she even commented, she's like going, I don't know if people were booing me, like they didn't like me, or if it was because of this. And she was
That's
just...
a mess.
Osaka's awesome.
And it ruined her moment. She's 20 and her idol was and is Serena. And so for her to have this amazing moment where she finally, it was completely tarnished and ruined because people were booing it because it became a big deal. So
Just make it a sports issue, because that's what it was. Now, there is sexism that happens without a doubt. But for that moment, that was not a sexism issue. I got hate for that. I will not back down from my opinion, because I did not see sexism during that moment. It had nothing to do with it.
And there are other things in tennis that they probably need to address. Somebody's talking about taking the shirt off, and they explain with the shirt thing, saying, look, you can reverse your shirt. You have to be sitting down. It's a weird... Tennis has some stupid-ass rules that they need to probably change. That you have to sit, then you can take off your shirt. You can't receive coaching from the stands. Why? So maybe a couple things it'll force tennis to rethink. But as it is, they're still in the record books. And there's probably some things where they need to tweak it a little bit and say, is there something going on with that? But the other thing, too, about, and he does have a point with the changing miscarriage and whatever. It does seem like, there are words and things that describe things in our culture that hurt, that are painful. But we can't be so soft that because they dig up bad emotions that we keep changing the word, because you know what's going to happen. That condition is going to happen. You have to have a way to describe it. So when we describe something with a certain term, after a while, that term is going to mean pain to you. So we can't just keep changing the word we're going to go from stroke to gobbly to wadonk to
Well, okay, for example, I legit will have a panic attack sometimes if I'm watching television and they start showing a building. Depending on what kind of mood I am, I will have I almost need a trigger warning. I would never ask for something like that because it doesn't revolve around me. My little phobia does not revolve around everyone else. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
there's going to be some things you're going to have to face just in normal life.
We can't keep
you're gonna
changing
have to
terms.
deal with that.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, I've dealt with miscarriage myself, but it's like I would never imagine change the word miscarriage because it's caused me pain in my life.
My mom died of a heart attack out of the blue. So what? Anytime I see something on TV about someone dying from a heart attack out of the blue, I got to write that company or write that station, say, I watched that. It made me sad. Stop doing that.
Stop calling it a heart attack.
That's fucking insane. That's fucking insane.
It is insane. Yeah, so on those comments, Jay, you're right. We do need to realize, hey, unfortunately, that's just the way life is. There will be some things. We can never do anything to sanitize our society. Life will always give you pain one way or the other, and you just have to learn how to deal with it.
But on some of those other comments that he made, like we should not look harshly on things somebody did 20 years ago because it was a different time. I agree with you on words. Yes. I think words, it was a different time. If somebody said something on Twitter when it first started, however many years ago, and now they don't feel that way and they regret it, words are one thing. But if somebody sexually assaulted somebody 20 years ago, I'm sorry. If you're in a position of power and you take advantage advantage of that power, and the person that you victimize doesn't have the guts to come forward until 20 years later, I still think you're a dirtbag from what you did 20 years ago. And I'm not going to look upon you differently just because it was how it was back then.
It was accepted then.
I don't accept it because not everybody acted like that.
Yeah,
not everybody used their position to sexually take advantage of people beneath them, and that should never, ever be okay, even if it's 20 years later.
I think human nature should tell you that, like, this just is not the way you should do it. You shouldn't exert your will on somebody to get them to do something they don't want to do.
Exactly.
And that goes throughout the course of human history.
And if you do that, and then somebody 20 years later calls you out on it, and it's investigated and found to be true, then I think that you should be punished accordingly. Now, that investigation's going to be tricky, but if you've got 12 women, like in the case of Les Moonves, I mean, it's kind of like, oh, what was he up to?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, you know, that's really happening now. I mean, hey, going back and people that are long gone, I mean, you're seeing it with the Civil War generals and people in the monuments and things like that, where people are now looking at it and we're in a different place in society, and they're saying, hey, look, you know, these monuments, people are tearing them down, and we're going back and saying, you know, just because, well, the standards of the day, there was something about being a Civil War general that was very prideful in our
Words
society.
are different than actions, I think. Especially when you sexually assault somebody. That should never be something that you just forget about.
Question: were you doing a Southern general from the war? Was that what that?
That's my Robert E. Lee.
Oh, I gotta tell you, it kind of sounded like Robert
Yeah,
E.
I thought
Lee.
everybody, you knew that, didn't you?
Of course.
It sounded like one of those.
I thought it was dead on.
You know when you watch those history
I
specials?
was like, everybody knows Robert E. Lee.
They took his statue down in New Orleans.
Yeah, they did.
He's done.
He's gone, yeah.
Have you?
And the
Yeah.
street is called Lee Circle, so now what the hell do you call it?
Yeah, I think that'll happen. It seems like a good, you know, fix for that kind of stuff. Is,
Oh, your street's gone, boy.
right, yeah. Remove them from a place of honor and memorial to a place of history. Do not remove the history of it. Still understand it. Note these men existed. But
You both sounded when you did those voices. The History Channel will do those specials about the old
Yeah.
wars, and then they'll have like a General Lee start to talk, and it sounds just like overacting. Well, I'll tell you this now.
And he sounds kind of like Foghorn Leghorn,
does, they all
too.
a little bit in
It's
between.
so funny to hear the over-the-top bad voice acting.
Yeah. So, but that is interesting, and that I'm sure going to be a lot of a longer debate about that going back on stuff, and when do you step in, and how far back can you go, and for what? I mean, you could say, you know, if this was the era of Prohibition, anyone who drank any alcohol before it was illegal, can you go back and ding them for that?
Well, now you've gone too far.
Exactly. Yes.
I just want to go to the woods. Just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, just go live with the animals. They just seem to have it together, man. Animals seem to have it together.
Let me see. Got an email from Amy. Said, hey, guys, as always, love you. Listen to the podcast every day. However, I'm still thinking about Jen's apple cake that Jaybird ate a while ago.
Oh, yes.
I remember V asking for more details. Was it cake? Was it crumble? Was it something else? And even though he couldn't really give any details, I still want the recipe.
Dennis!
Sounds delicious. Is it posted anywhere?
So he actually, after we talked about the apple cake, Dennis! He came in here with the apple cake and let me try some of it. And not only did it look beautiful, it tasted fantastic. It's a German thing. Denny's, take it from here.
The apple cake, yeah, it is. It's cool. It was the first time that I've experienced it too, but it's been all the talk lately amongst her circle.
You're my little apple kid.
Well, I'll find the recipe for everybody, but I think it's passed down generationally through her family, so who knows?
Unbelievable. It was more like a pastry.
I would more equate it to a
Yeah.
pastry, a large pastry that everybody can share from.
My boy is selling it well. Listen to all that enthusiasm.
It had
really
this
is.
freshly julienne slices of apple on top, and it was a condensed kind of meat to the cake part. It wasn't like a fluffy
That's
big
right.
birthday cake consistency. It was dense, it was rich, it was buttery.
Yeah.
It had hints of cinnamon.
Yes.
It definitely had a nice glaze on top of the apple. Like, it was beautiful.
It's a little more cake than apple, which is nice, instead of like an apple pie, which is predominantly
I
apples.
mean, you want a little bit more pie than apple, right? Come on.
I know the kind of pie you want.
Yeah.
What kind of pie, Mama? Hair pie? Is that what you're telling me?
I believe that is correct. So.
No, rhubarb.
Robert E. Lee loves hair pie too.
You're kind of morphing into Robert
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. Yeah.
Morgan Freeman as Robert E. Lee.
God, now that'd be a twist, wouldn't it?
That'd be a
That
big
would
twist. Like,
That,
what?
that would actually be an interesting twist on
Odd
this.
casting?
Let's flip it all around. Wait a minute. How are you? Wait. Okay. September 11th, got a comment here from Mike. Said, hey, I just want to give you all a shout out and let you know that your influence reaches far beyond South Florida. I'm a native Floridian who moved to Virginia in 2012, and I've listened to your show since the beginning, continue to listen every single day. I never get to write or to call in because I'm usually a week or two behind on the podcasts. I've met you all at several events over the years, and I've been to your new studio a few times. Denny's is a good friend of mine from school, and I try to come hang out whenever I'm in town.
Oh, this is an insider.
To the point of the email, years ago on September 11th, you would have local restaurants call in to tell the first responders where they could get a free meal or a discount on the day. I have a real estate company up here, and I wanted to find a way to show our first responders how much we appreciate their sacrifice and hard work to keep our community safe. In 2012, my wife baked several dozen cookies, and we delivered them to all the local fire, police, and emergency responders in our community. This is our 6th year, and we delivered over 800 cookies to first responders today.
Wow.
You all are the reason why we started this, and I just wanted you to know that your good deeds have even reached a small town of Virginia. Spend 10 to 20 hours in the car every week, and I listen and look forward to the drive because your show. Thank you.
Great email.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that you guys are doing that and your grassroots. The only thing I would say, if anybody wants to take on that project and do it, homemade stuff is awesome, but a lot of times they're not allowed to eat homemade stuff. So be super careful. Maybe in your area they are, but I know a lot of places in Palm Beach County ended up telling us, if you're going to drop off stuff, make sure it's store-bought and it's still sealed. Because a lot of times unfortunately, there's crazy people out there that would want to poison others. And if it's not sealed from the grocery, from a legitimate place, that they got to be careful. And a lot of times they're not allowed to eat it.
Yeah. That is, and that's why we went to people just saying, hey, would you offer a discount and this and that? And
so they could go and get it themselves. But it's just awesome and lovely that you're doing something.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
totally agree. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it is 17 years later, and the last thing we want to do is, have every single year like it become further back in our memories. So it's good to see people that are doing things like that. And I saw one of the better tributes yesterday. There were 2 firefighters in full gear that what they do, their tribute every year is like starting at 8:46, the time that the first plane hit the World Trade Center, they get on a stair stepper. And they go exactly 110 flights, which is how much it is to walk, which firefighters on that day who gave their lives did. And I'm like, what a fantastic tribute for firefighters to do every single year. And then when as another plane hits, another person gets on, and they do that.
Could you imagine that you're in the gym when that's going on? Good luck not crying.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I would just be openly sobbing.
Yeah, that's a fantastic tribute.
I don't go to the gym, so I will cry when you tell me
Yeah.
the story.
And luckily with social media, somebody had a video of it. That's where I saw it.
Good.
Yeah. And so you got to see that and be like, wow, that's a really good tribute because, I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, that actually was the least part. I mean, those people gave their lives and died what had to be a very tough death. And on top of that, we're walking in that full gear, that many flights of stairs. So he went on to talk a little bit about the airport lounges, luxury lounges. You can get in most of these lounges without paying a penny. Most of them are partners with credit card companies. Chase has a card. Chase Sapphire Reserve gives you access to over 1,200 lounges worldwide. American Express, another one that gives you access. So if you got a good credit card and decent income, you can access most of the lounges just by having these cards. Yeah, I obviously don't have a good card or income because whenever I go into these, they're like, oh, it'll be like $24. And we're just in the airport, when we took a little trip to Ohio, and my wife's like, oh, do you want to go? And I'm like, what, to pay $24? You get a few free drinks? And I'm like, it's not like there's really even less people in there.
And there's a tray of old nuts that look like everybody's rifled through them. I'm like, I don't know. Those nuts look a little suspicious.
Right. When I
My nuts look a little suspicious.
Yeah, they
and
do.
old, yeah. Old and suspicious. So.
If I walk in and see his nuts, it's not worth
I want
24.
old suspicious nuts. I look down. Yeah. Doesn't cost me a penny. Next. So I obviously don't have the right thing, but I was like, it's not worth it for that. So fuck it.
Yeah, I used to have those cards, but the membership itself, I didn't travel enough. Mm-hmm. I just didn't.
Christine in the chat room said, I swear I'm buying a Make America Great hat again and a Colin Kaepernick jersey. Pictures from the ICU to follow.
Yeah, I think that would cause so much confusion / violence.
It would be confused anger. Like, it's just to be like, I love your hat, but I fucking hate your jersey.
What the fuck are you trying to say, man?
You better make sure you do a 360 and let them see everything you got going on.
And you better be able to stretch and run fast.
I think it'd just be very amazing to see just what happens with that combo. You'd be like,
who would laugh and who would kick your ass?
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
Is that too edgy for us to do? Because
No,
I
we
would
could totally
gladly
do
go
it.
do that.
The only thing I
would love to see-
I don't have to buy a damn $200 jersey.
Yeah, that's the budget
or
right
even
there.
a $20 hat, whatever they cost. I don't know. If we get them for free, it'd be hysterical.
I feel like we could get the hat for free, but the jersey's too new and
It
too
is.
expensive.
It is.
Everybody's got a Kaepernick jersey and a Make America Great hat. We own neither right now. Let us know. We'll send Jaybird out and just see how people react. Even just their visual, just be because I'd walk by and be like,
What?
wait, does that? I would stop to the Queen. I'm like, did that guy have on a fucking Make America Great hat and a Kaepernick jersey?
What
Like,
would
that is- you want to talk about the most mismatched outfit ever?
You got to go to a sporting event where you walk up the stairs where there's just people like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
People really throwing shit at me. Oh, that
leave a
would be-
trail of anger and confusion. People walking by, be like, wait, what?
Oh, we have to do this. We got to do this. I'm going to buy it right now. I'll buy the Kaepernick jersey right now.
I
Somebody's
love
been
it.
drinking.
It is definitely
Yeah.
going to be polarizing and so funny to see like how people take it.
Right, because there's not two more polarizing things I don't think you got right now.
No.
Is there a store? Do you think like Lids would have a Kaepernick jersey?
There's a Nike outlet in
You
the...
go online, I think it's through a website that people are ordering them.
You can't buy it in the store.
I don't know.
It's too new.
Maybe a Nike store might have it because, they're
They had the
pushing
Nike outlet and the
their
Palm
stuff.
Beach
Oh,
outlet.
People are like, where, Mike? Oh, the whole thing would be filmed. We're doing it as a stunt. We would
Oh, yeah.
capture all of it.
Yeah, you
we
want to
need it
get
on
people.
video when you're killed.
Well, you got to get the video because I think a lot of people's reactions, like for me, I wouldn't say anything, but I'd look, I'd turn to my wife and be going, you see what the. What? Do they
hell?
understand? I'd be like going, do they not understand, like, who dressed them? I'd be like, that doesn't make a bit of sense. Why
Well-
would you wear that hat with that jersey?
Or it doesn't make all the sense in the world.
Maybe you
Well,
want,
does-
want
it's-
to talk about balance. I don't know.
It's commentary on how divided the country. It's really what it is.
Right.
So to speed up this process, if anyone's listening, if they have a Make America hat or Make America Great Again or in a Kaepernick jersey, let us know. I will give it back to you. I'll wash it after
Yeah.
the blood is in it. But that would speed everything up. If I have to order online, it's going to take 3 to
I
4
don't think
days.
either person that owns one of those things is going to give theirs to you because you're mocking it.
Oh no! I think people that listen to the podcast will
Yeah.
absolutely be
It'd
able
be
to get this
interesting.
for
Yeah.
us.
I might be able to get a few, and you'd have to wear them in different parts of town too, because there are different places like going that might play there, that won't, and vice versa.
Wear it to like a Dolphins game.
That's what I mean. You have
And
to
walk up and down the stairs like you
Yeah.
just said, and
even a high school football game, people would lose their shit.
And it
that's
depends
easy.
on what high school game you go to
Yep,
as
it
to what reaction
does.
you would get. Yeah. That could be a lot of fun. All right, let us know. So you send emails, mail at kvjshow.com. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in today. Make sure you go check out Bud's Chicken and Seafood. 2 pieces of chicken and fries for $3.49 and 3 pieces of chicken and fries for $3.99. Lots of locations, 7 of them all over Palm Beach County. For limited time only, go get that deal, Bud's Chicken and Seafood. Y'all have a good day. Goodbye.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.